The Pepto-Bismol pink of my childhood bedroom walls was the first clue that I'd been sucker punched by the cosmic rewind button. Seriously? I groaned, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. The memories of my past life, the good, the bad, and the financially disastrous, doing a conga line in my brain. This decor is a crime against humanity. But hey, who was I to complain? I was back, reborn, granted a second chance to navigate the obstacle course of adolescence with the cheat codes already unlocked. And this time, the prize wasn't just a college fund and a pat on the head for doing well in school. This time, I was playing for keeps. My parents, bless their paranoid hearts, were already in stage one of their hide the family fortune routine. I could practically hear the gears grinding in their heads, the whispers of diversify, protect, never trust anyone, especially not your own offspring, echoing through the walls of our perfectly manicured suburban prison. "Alexia, honey," my mom chirped, her voice a symphony of forced cheerfulness that could make a Stepford wife sound like a rebel yell. "Daddy and I need to have a little chat with you about responsibility." Ah, yes, responsibility. The code word for we're about to stash our cash in a Swiss bank account with a name that sounds like a Bond villain. I stifled a yawn, my teenage angst a carefully crafted performance. Responsibility? I echoed, feigning teenage apathy, though my inner monologue was doing a victory dance worthy of a Super Bowl halftime show. Is this about taking out the trash again? Because, the garbage disposal is, totally overflowing with existential angst. My dad, bless his clueless heart, cleared his throat, his voice a baritone rumble of paternal authority that would make a drill sergeant sound like a kindergarten teacher. "Alexia, we want you to understand the value of hard work, of earning your own way, of not relying on handouts." Handouts, oh, the irony. They were about to squirrel away enough cash to fund a small country's GDP, and I was being lectured on the evils of handouts. This wasn't just parental paranoia, it was a goddamn psychological thriller with a dash of dark comedy thrown in for good measure. But I wasn't complaining. In fact, I was kind of digging it. This whole hide the money charade was like a twisted game. And I, with my past life cheat codes, was holding all the aces. They thought they were testing me, pushing me to prove my worth, to demonstrate that I wouldn't become a spoiled brat who'd squander their hard-earned fortune on designer handbags and TikTok fame. Joke's on them. I already knew the location of every hidden stash, every secret account, every goddamn penny they were so desperately trying to protect from the imaginary wolves at the door. And I also knew that their efforts were as futile as a screen door on a submarine. Because I, with my future knowledge, my entrepreneurial spirit, and my unwavering determination to build an empire that would make their little nest egg look like a piggy bank, was about to play this game on my own terms. So yeah, bring on the lectures, the hidden bank statements, the late-night trips to the attic with a flashlight and a shoebox full of cash. I'd play along, smile sweetly, and pretend to be the dutiful daughter who was diligently learning the value of a dollar. But behind the facade, the gears were turning, the plans were forming, the empire was rising. And when the time was right, I'd reveal my hand. Not to gloat, not to rub their noses in their misguided paranoia, but to show them that their daughter, the one they thought they were testing, the one they thought they were protecting, was more than capable of not just preserving their wealth, but multiplying it, expanding it, turning it into a legacy that would make their little hiding places look like a child's playhouse in the shadow of a skyscraper. Game on, parents, game on. The attic, a dusty repository of forgotten memories and moth-eaten dreams, was my parents' favorite playground. I'd accidentally stumble upon them, my father balancing precariously on a rickety ladder, my mother clutching a shoebox with the reverence of a nun holding the Holy Grail. "Oh, Alexia dear," my mother would chirp, her voice a mix of surprise and feigned nonchalance. "Just looking for some old photo albums?" "Photo albums?" I'd echo, my voice dripping with teenage skepticism, though my inner monologue was doing a cartwheel and singing "Another One Bites the Dust." "In the attic? Seriously, you guys are so retro, it's totally embarrassing." My father would grumble something about preserving memories and teaching the value of tangible keepsakes, but his eyes, darting nervously towards the loose floorboard beneath his feet, would betray his true intentions. The loose floorboard, A relic from my past life snooping adventures was their go-to hiding spot, a secret compartment where they stashed cash, gold coins, and probably a few shares in a company that manufactured tinfoil hats. Well, don't let me interrupt your treasure hunt, I'd say, stifling a yawn and rolling my eyes with the dramatic flair of a teenager who'd just been informed that dial-up internet was making a comeback. I'm gonna go listen to music that was actually recorded this century. And as I'd saunter out, the smirk on my face would be as wide as the gap in my parents' financial logic. They thought they were being so clever, so discreet, so goddamn protective of their precious nest egg. But I, with my past life intel and my future knowledge superpowers, was 10 steps ahead, playing their little game with the amusement of a cat toying with a particularly dim-witted mouse. The old trunk in the basement, a relic from my grandparents' travels that smelled vaguely of mothballs and forgotten dreams, was another favorite hiding spot. I'd offer, to help clean out the basement, my eagerness, a carefully crafted performance designed to lull them into a false sense of security. "Oh, Alexia, you're such a helpful child," my mother would gush, her voice dripping with a gratitude that was as thick as the dust bunnies clinging to the trunk's brass hinges. "We're so lucky to have you." Lucky? Or just ridiculously predictable? I'd suppress a snort as I watched them fumble with the hidden compartment, their hands trembling with a mix of anxiety and excitement, their eyes darting around as if expecting the ghost of Bernie Madoff to jump out and steal their stash of Krugerrands. "Just trying to be responsible," I'd chirp, my voice a symphony of teenage innocence, though my inner monologue was doing a victory lap around the basement, high-fiving the cobwebs and the rusty tools that were the silent witnesses to their financial paranoia. And then there was the secret bank account, the one with the ridiculously fake-sounding name Veronica Stone, and the address that led to a post office box in a town that probably didn't even have internet access. I'd overhear their hushed phone calls, my eavesdropping skills honed by years of teenage angst and a desperate need to know what was going on in the world beyond my bedroom walls. "Remember, Veronica," my dad would whisper, his voice a conspiratorial hiss that would make a spy movie villain proud. "Discretion is key. We can't trust anyone with this information. Not even, you know who." You know who was me, of course, their own daughter, the one they were apparently so terrified of corrupting with their wealth that they'd rather hide it in a bank account named after a soap opera character. The irony was delicious, a gourmet meal served on a silver platter of parental paranoia. But hey, who was I to judge? Their fear, their distrust, their obsessive need to control every penny. It was all a product of their past trauma, the financial freefall they had experienced, the scars that had never truly healed. And I, with my past life knowledge and my future vision cheat codes, understood that. I understood their fear, their anxiety, their misguided attempts to protect their family from a world they perceived as inherently hostile. But I also knew that their efforts were futile, that the money they were hiding, the secrets they were keeping, the control they were so desperately clinging to, it was all an illusion, a sandcastle on the beach of time, destined to be washed away by the tide of change, the inevitable flow of events that even their best-laid plans couldn't control. So I played along, humoring their paranoia, facilitating their schemes, offering a helping hand and a reassuring smile while secretly plotting my own course, a course that would lead not just to financial independence, but to a future where their fear would be replaced by trust, their scarcity mindset by an abundance that would make their hidden stash look like a pauper's pittance. The game was on. And I, the daughter they thought they were testing, the child they thought they were protecting, was about to show them that the true inheritance wasn't the money they were hiding, but the knowledge, the resilience, the unwavering determination that they had inadvertently instilled in me. That YouTube video, the one with the old dude and his test of character, had been playing on repeat in my head like a broken record. Was that what my parents were doing? Putting me through some twisted psychological experiment to see if I was worthy of their hard-earned cash? Were they watching me from behind the curtains, judging my every move, waiting for me to slip up to reveal my true, greedy, entitled self? "It's like a goddamn reality show," I muttered to myself, pacing my bedroom, my teenage angst now fueled by a healthy dose of existential paranoia. The Truman Show meets Keeping Up with the Kardashians, with a dash of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire thrown in for good measure. But the more I analyzed their behavior, the more the pieces clicked into place. The lectures about hard work and earning your own way, the subtle digs about spoiled brats and trust fund babies, the constant emphasis on making something of yourself. It was all a carefully orchestrated performance, a twisted game designed to test my character, to see if I'd crumble under the pressure of financial uncertainty or rise to the occasion and prove myself worthy of well, their everything. So what do you think, Chris? I asked my best friend, her skepticism as thick as her eyeliner. Am I being paranoid, or are my parents actually gaslighting me with this whole "we're poor, you need to work hard" charade? Chris, bless her cynical heart, snorted with laughter. Honey, please. Your parents are so paranoid. They probably have a secret bunker stocked with canned goods and enough cash to bribe the Illuminati. But what if it's a test? I pressed, the doubt a nagging itch beneath the surface of my bravado. What if they're waiting for me to screw up, to prove that I'm just a spoiled brat who'll blow their money on designer shoes and TikTok fame? Then don't screw up, Chris said, her voice surprisingly serious. Prove them wrong. Show them that you're not just some entitled princess who needs a trust fund to survive. Kick ass, take names, and build your own empire. Then, when you're rolling in dough, you can casually drop a "remember that time you guys pretended to be broke?" bomb and watch their faces melt. The idea, though deliciously wicked, also sparked a flicker of something else, a sense of responsibility perhaps, a desire to not just prove them wrong, but to help them heal, to break the cycle of fear and distrust that had shaped their lives, their parenting, their very perception of the world. You're right, Chris, I said, a newfound determination hardening my resolve. I'm going to play their game, but I'm going to play it my way. And so I did. I studied my ass off, aced my exams, and even landed a part-time job at the local bookstore. The irony wasn't lost on me. I volunteered at a homeless shelter, helped organize a charity fundraiser, and generally became the poster child for responsible teenager who's definitely not secretly plotting to take over the world. My parents, bless their oblivious hearts, seemed pleased. Their lectures became less frequent, their anxieties less pronounced, their smiles a little less strained. They even started talking about future plans, about college funds and career paths, as if they hadn't already stashed away enough cash to buy a small island nation. But I wasn't fooled. I knew their game, their fears, their twisted logic, and I was playing along, not just to prove them wrong, but to prove myself right. To show them and myself that I was more than just the product of their anxieties, their trauma, their limited worldview. I was Alexia, the daughter, the student, the entrepreneur, the future billionaire who was going to turn their fear-based inheritance into a legacy of abundance, a testament to the power of knowledge, resilience, and a healthy dose of "fuck you" to the past. The game was on, and I, the pawn they thought they were manipulating, was about to become the queen. The one calling the shots, the one rewriting the rules, the one who would ultimately win the inheritance game, not just for myself, but for the future of our family. A future where fear would be replaced by trust, scarcity by abundance, and the ghosts of the past by the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Time, that relentless bastard, marched on, dragging me through the awkward purgatory of adolescence and into the slightly less awkward but equally confusing realm of adulthood. High school diplomas, college applications, the existential dread of choosing a major that wouldn't leave me unemployed and living in my parents' basement until the next ice age. It was a whirlwind of milestones and anxieties, a symphony of adulting that would make a teenager want to crawl back into the womb and demand a refund. But through it all, I played the long game, aced my exams, landed internships that paid less than a babysitting gig, and generally maintained the facade of a responsible, if slightly sarcastic young adult who was definitely not secretly plotting to build a financial empire that would make Scrooge McDuck look like a pauper. My parents, bless their paranoid hearts, continued their elaborate game of hide-and-seek with their fortune. The attic became a veritable treasure map of loose floorboards and hidden compartments. The basement a museum of antique furniture with secret drawers and false bottoms. They even invested in a goddamn safe, its combination a complex sequence of numbers that I'd memorized faster than the lyrics to my favorite Taylor Swift song. "Alexia, honey," my dad would say, his voice a conspiratorial whisper that would make a CIA agent proud. We need to discuss the importance of financial security, of protecting your assets, of being prepared for any eventuality. Eventuality? I'd echo, my voice dripping with mock concern, though my inner monologue was doing a facepalm and muttering, "Seriously? You guys are prepping for the zombie apocalypse while simultaneously hiding your cash from your own offspring? You never know what the future holds, sweetheart," my mom would chime in, her eyes darting nervously towards the window, as if expecting a horde of ravenous squirrels to storm the house and demand a ransom in acorns. It's important to be prepared, to have a safety net, to have a trust fund that I'm not allowed to know about, I'd finish, my voice laced with a playful sarcasm that was as much a test as it was a genuine frustration. Their reactions were always the same, a mix of denial, deflection, and a thinly veiled guilt that confirmed my suspicions. They were testing me, those masters of manipulation, those guardians of a fortune they were too terrified to share, even with the one person who was supposed to inherit it. But I wasn't playing their game anymore. I was playing my own, a game of patience, of observation, of strategic maneuvering that would ultimately lead me to a victory that was far more satisfying than just uncovering their hidden stash. I watched them, those two figures hunched over their spreadsheets, their faces etched with worry lines that deepened with every market fluctuation, every news report of economic uncertainty. Their fear was palpable, a suffocating presence that permeated our family dynamic, poisoning the joy, the trust, the very essence of what it meant to be a family. And as I witnessed their anxiety, their distrust, their inability to fully embrace the abundance that was rightfully theirs, a sense of compassion mingled with my determination. I wasn't just going to reclaim their fortune, I was going to help them heal, to guide them towards a future where fear was replaced by faith, scarcity by abundance, and the ghosts of their past trauma by a newfound confidence in their own ability to create, to thrive, to live a life that was not defined by the limitations of their own limiting beliefs. The long game wasn't just about the money, it was about the legacy. The legacy of a family that had been fractured by fear, a legacy I was determined to rewrite, to transform into a testament to the power of love, trust, and the unwavering belief in the boundless possibilities that life had to offer. The rejection letter from Stanford was a punch to the gut, a sucker punch to my carefully constructed image of Alexia, the child prodigy who can conquer anything. I stared at the crisp white paper, the words blurring into a mocking reminder of my own fallibility. "We regret to inform you—" Yeah, rub it in, why don't you? "What the hell, universe?" I grumbled, tossing the letter onto my desk, the carefully curated vision board of my future success suddenly looking more like a pathetic collection of pipe dreams. I aced the SATs, captained the debate team, and even managed to bake a cake that didn't taste like a chemical experiment gone wrong. What more do you want from me? The self-doubt, that insidious little gremlin that had been lurking in the shadows of my confidence, reared its ugly head, its whispers, a chorus of, "Maybe you're not as smart as you think you are. Maybe your parents are right, and you're just a spoiled brat who's destined to fail. Maybe you should just give up and join a reality TV show where you can compete for the affection of a washed-up celebrity and a lifetime supply of protein powder." "Ugh, shut up, brain," I muttered, burying my face in a pillow that smelled vaguely of teenage angst and unfulfilled potential. "This is just a setback, a minor blip in the grand scheme of my world domination plan. I'll get into another college, an even better college, and then I'll show those Stanford snobs what they missed out on." But the doubt lingered, a persistent itch beneath the surface of my bravado. Was I truly as capable, as intelligent, as destined for greatness as I'd always believed? Or was I just a product of my parents' anxieties, a reflection of their fear of failure, a pawn in their twisted game of control and manipulation? "This is messed up, Chris," I confessed to my best friend, my voice cracking with a vulnerability I rarely allowed myself to show. "What if I'm not good enough? What if I can't do this? What if I'm just a fraud?" Chris, bless her blunt honesty and her unwavering belief in my ability to conquer the world, rolled her eyes with a dramatic flair that would make a Shakespearean actress proud. "Fraud? Alexia, please. You're the most resourceful, determined, and slightly terrifying person I know. You could sell ice to an Eskimo, convince a vegan to eat a steak, and probably even negotiate a peace treaty between a cat and a dog. You've got this. Her words, though laced with her usual sarcasm, were a balm to my wounded ego, a reminder of the strength I had cultivated, the resilience I had forged in the fires of my family's dysfunction. But what if it's all just luck? I pressed, the doubt a stubborn weed in the garden of my ambition. What if my past life knowledge is just a fluke, a cosmic cheat code that's about to expire? Then you'll figure it out, Alexia, Chris said, her voice firm, her gaze unwavering. You always do. You're not just smart, you're resourceful, you're adaptable, well, you're kind of a badass. And badassery, my friend, is a renewable resource. And as I listened to her words, the echoes of my own self-doubt fading in the face of her unwavering support, a new resolve solidified within me. This wasn't just about proving my parents wrong, or winning their twisted game, or even reclaiming their hidden fortune. This was about proving myself right, about living up to the potential I knew I possessed, about embracing the challenges, the setbacks, the inevitable bumps in the road that were all part of the journey towards a future that was as bright and limitless as my own imagination. The rejection letter might have been a punch to the gut, but it was also a wake-up call, a reminder that even with the cheat codes, life was still a game of skill, strategy, and a healthy dose of fuck you to the obstacles that dared to stand in my way. And I, Alexia, the daughter, the student, the entrepreneur, the future queen of my own goddamn empire, was ready to play. Have you seen the latest market analysis, Dad? I asked, casually dropping the meticulously researched report on the kitchen table. Its graphs and projections a symphony of potential profits that would make Warren Buffett drool. Tech stocks are booming. This could be our chance to, actually make some money instead of hiding it under the floorboards. My dad, bless his risk-averse heart, peered at the report with the suspicion of a cat eyeing a cucumber. Tech stocks? He scoffed, his voice a symphony of skepticism. They're volatile, unpredictable, a bubble waiting to burst. Remember what happened with that dot-com crash? We lost a fortune? Dad, that was like a century ago, I countered, rolling my eyes with the dramatic flair of a teenager who'd just been told to use a rotary phone. The tech landscape is different now. These companies are solid, innovative. The future is uncertain, Alexia, he interrupted, his voice laced with a fear that was as familiar as the smell of mothballs in the attic. We can't afford to gamble, to risk the little we have left. We need to be cautious to protect our assets, to live in a constant state of paranoia, I finished, my voice laced with a frustration that was getting harder and harder to conceal. Dad, you're so busy trying to avoid losing what you have that you're missing out on the opportunities to gain so much more. But my words, like seeds sown on barren ground, fell on deaf ears. My parents, those masters of self-sabotage, were trapped in a cycle of fear, their past trauma, a lens that distorted their perception of the world, their every decision fueled by anxiety and distrust. The missed opportunities piled up like unread emails in my spam folder. The real estate investment that could have tripled their wealth, the startup that would become a tech unicorn, the cryptocurrency that would make Bitcoin look like pocket change. They dismissed them all, their fear blinding them to the potential, their insecurity stifling their growth. It's too risky, Alexia, my mom would say, her voice a mantra of caution that echoed through the hallways of our financially secure, yet emotionally impoverished home. We can't afford to lose what we have. We need to play it safe to protect To protect your fear? I'd retort, the frustration bubbling over, the sarcasm a shield against the disappointment that gnawed at me. They couldn't see it. Those two figures huddled over their spreadsheets, their faces etched with worry lines that deepened with every missed opportunity, every potential gain squandered. They were prisoners of their own past, their fear a cage that kept them trapped in a scarcity mindset, their distrust a wall that prevented them from connecting with the very abundance they craved. And as I watched them, my frustration mingled with a growing sense of responsibility. I wasn't just playing their game anymore. I was trying to change the rules, to rewrite the narrative, to guide them towards a future where fear was replaced by faith, scarcity by abundance, and the ghosts of their past trauma by a newfound confidence in their own ability to create, to thrive, to live a life that was not defined by the limitations of their own limiting beliefs. The family dinner, usually a symphony of passive-aggressive chewing and thinly veiled insults disguised as concern, was about to take a detour into the twilight zone. I set down my fork, the clinking sound a discordant note in the strained silence, my carefully crafted facade of teenage nonchalance cracking like a cheap mirror in a funhouse. Mom, Dad, I began, my voice a steady tremor in the otherwise placid atmosphere. We need to have a little chat about trust issues, yours specifically. My parents, bless their paranoid hearts, exchanged nervous glances, their forks hovering over their plates like confused hummingbirds. Alexia, dear, my mother chirped, her voice a strained imitation of maternal concern. Is everything all right? You're not dabbling in recreational pharmaceuticals, are you? No, Mom, I said, stifling a laugh that would have sounded more like a hysterical cackle. I'm not high. I'm just aware. Aware of the fact that you've been playing a rather elaborate game of hide and seek with your finances, and well, with me. The blood drained from their faces faster than a politician's promises during an election year. Alexia, honey, my father stammered, his voice a shaky baritone that would make a pubescent choir boy sound like Barry White. We don't know what you're— Don't insult my intelligence, Dad, I interrupted, my voice hardening with a touch of steel. I know about the loose floorboard in the attic, the hidden compartment in the antique trunk, the Veronica Stone bank account. Hell, I even know the combination to your ridiculously oversized safe. Their jaws dropped in unison, their carefully constructed facade of concerned parents crumbling like a stale cookie. But how? My mother whispered, her eyes wide with a mix of disbelief and a dawning horror that was almost satisfying to witness. Let's just say, I said, leaning back in my chair, a smirk playing on my lips, that I have a knack for uncovering secrets, a talent for seeing through your carefully crafted illusions, a superpower, if you will, that allows me to navigate the labyrinth of your paranoia and emerge victorious with the knowledge that, well, you're not as clever as you think you are. The silence that followed was thicker than a bowl of oatmeal left out in the sun. My parents, those masters of manipulation, those champions of control, were speechless, their carefully constructed world of secrets and half-truths imploding around them like a poorly built sandcastle in a hurricane. You've known all along, my father finally croaked, his voice a testament to the shattered remnants of his paternal authority. Let's just say, I said, my voice a purr of amusement, that I've been playing the long game, humoring your little test, proving my worth, demonstrating that I'm not the spoiled brat you seem so terrified of creating. A test? My mother echoed, her voice laced with a guilt that was as thick as the dust bunnies in the attic. But we just wanted to protect you, to make sure you wouldn't— Wouldn't what, Mom? I interrupted, my voice rising with a touch of the anger that had been simmering for years. Wouldn't become entitled, wouldn't squander your precious fortune, wouldn't turn into the very thing you fear most? A reflection of your own past mistakes? The truth, ugly and undeniable, hung in the air like a toxic cloud. They had tried to control me, to manipulate me, to protect me from a world they perceived as inherently hostile. But in doing so, they had only succeeded in pushing me away, creating a rift between us, a chasm of distrust that had poisoned our relationship, stifled my growth, and almost extinguished the very flame of ambition that they had so desperately tried to control. The silence in the dining room was thicker than a bowl of week-old oatmeal. My parents, those masters of denial and emotional repression, were finally facing the consequences of their actions, the fallout from their little test of character hitting them harder than a poorly aimed boomerang. So, I said, breaking the tension with a sardonic smile that would make a Cheshire cat proud, want to talk about those missed opportunities, that real estate deal in downtown Manhattan? The tech startup that's now worth more than your entire retirement fund? Or maybe that time you guys scoffed at Bitcoin when it was cheaper than a cup of coffee? My dad, bless his panic-stricken heart, sputtered like a malfunctioning sprinkler. Alexia, honey, we didn't know. Of course you didn't know, I interrupted, my voice a mix of frustration and a weary understanding. You were too busy hiding your money under the floorboards and whispering about financial ruin to actually, pay attention to the world around you. My mom, her eyes welling up with tears that were as much a product of guilt as they were of a lifetime of repressed emotions, reached for my hand. We were just scared, sweetheart, she confessed, her voice a trembling echo of the trauma that had shaped their lives, their decisions, their very perception of reality. We didn't want to lose everything again. We wanted to protect you, to make sure you'd be okay, even if you weren't there, I finished, my voice softening, the anger giving way to a wave of empathy that surprised even myself. Mom, Dad, I get it. I understand your fear. But you have to understand that your fear has become a prison, a cage that's not only trapping you, but also pushing me away. Pushing you away, my dad echoed, his voice a mix of confusion and a dawning realization. Yes, I confirmed, my gaze steady, my voice firm. Your secrecy, your distrust, your inability to be honest with me, to share your fears, your vulnerabilities, it's created a wall between us, a wall that's thicker than any safe, more impenetrable than any hidden compartment. I took a deep breath, the air filling my lungs with a newfound sense of purpose, a determination to not just reclaim their fortune, but to heal the wounds that had festered for far too long. I forgive you, I said, the words a release, a weight lifted from my shoulders. I understand why you did what you did, but I also need you to understand that I'm not a child anymore. I'm not the product of your fears, your anxieties, your past traumas. I'm Alexia, your daughter, the one who's capable of not just inheriting your wealth, but of building my own, of creating a future where abundance and security are not defined by the limitations of your past. My words hung in the air, a challenge, a promise, a declaration of independence that was also a plea for connection, for trust, for a family dynamic that was based on love, not fear, on openness, not secrecy, on a shared vision of a future where abundance was not something to be hoarded, but something to be embraced, celebrated, and shared. My parents, their faces etched with a mixture of shame, regret, and a dawning hope, looked at me, their eyes finally seeing the woman I had become, the daughter they had almost lost. And as the silence gave way to a tentative conversation, a fragile bridge built on the foundation of honesty and vulnerability, I knew that this was just the beginning. The road ahead was still uncertain, the healing process long and arduous. But the first step had been taken, the first wall broken down, the first seed of trust planted in the barren landscape of their fear. The spreadsheet glowed on my laptop screen, a symphony of numbers and projections that would make a Wall Street analyst drool. Forget the dusty old attic and the hidden safe in the basement. This was my treasure map, my blueprint for a financial empire that would make my parents' hidden fortune look like a lemonade stand's petty cash. I had taken the biggest loan I could from the bank and went to work. Alexia, are you sure about this? Mr. Thompson, my mentor, a seasoned investor with a voice like gravel and a heart of gold, questioned, his brow furrowed with a mix of concern and admiration. This is a bold move, a high-risk investment that could make us richer than Elon Musk on a space tourism bender, I finished, a grin spreading across my face, the confidence in my voice a testament to the years of research, the meticulous planning, the future knowledge that was my secret weapon in this high-stakes game of financial domination. You're a goddamn prodigy, Alexia, he chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. I've never seen anyone with such a knack for spotting opportunities, for anticipating market trends, for turning a calculated risk into a goddamn gold mine. It's a gift, Mr. Thompson, I said, my voice laced with a playful irony that masked the years of struggle, the betrayals, the unwavering determination that had fueled my ambition. A gift that's about to make us both very, very wealthy. And wealthy we became. The investments I made, guided by my knowledge of the future, the economic crashes, the technological booms, the rise and fall of cryptocurrencies, it was a symphony of calculated risks and strategic maneuvers that turned my portfolio into a goddamn money printing machine. Alexia, darling, Miss Sterling, my financial advisor, A woman whose stilettos were as sharp as her investment strategies, purred over the phone, her voice laced with an excitement that mirrored the soaring numbers on my bank statements. You're a force of nature. Your portfolio is the envy of Wall Street. Your name whispered in the hallowed halls of the Federal Reserve. You're you're the next Warren Buffett, but with better hair and a less questionable taste in ties. Buffett's got nothing on me, darling, I'd retort, my voice a playful purr of satisfaction. I'm not just playing the market, I'm playing the game, and I'm winning. And winning I was. The businesses I invested in, the startups I nurtured, the industries I revolutionized with my future-forward insights, it was a testament to my ability to not just anticipate the future, but to shape it, to bend it to my will, to create a reality where abundance wasn't just a possibility, but a goddamn inevitability. My parents, bless their paranoid hearts, remained oblivious to my financial ascent, their focus still fixated on their hidden stash, their anxieties a constant hum beneath the surface of their carefully constructed reality. But I wasn't worried. Their little game of hide and seek was just a sideshow, a distraction from the main event, the creation of an empire that would not only dwarf their hidden fortune, but also shatter their fear-based mindset, their scarcity-driven worldview. The time was coming, the moment of revelation drawing near, and as I surveyed my burgeoning empire, the skyscrapers reflecting my own ambition, the bank accounts overflowing with the fruits of my labor, a quiet satisfaction settled over me. I had done it. I had not only reclaimed my family's lost fortune, but I had also surpassed it, transcended it, created a legacy that was not defined by the limitations of their past, but by the boundless possibilities of my own future. The game was almost over, and I, the daughter they had underestimated, the child they had tried to control, was about to show them the true meaning of wealth, the power of abundance, the transformative potential of a life lived without fear, without limits, without the shackles of their own self-imposed restrictions. The family dinner, usually a symphony of passive-aggressive, salad-picking and thinly veiled financial anxieties, was about to become a TED Talk on how to make your parents shit their pants with a PowerPoint presentation. I dimmed the lights, the dramatic effect amplified by the flickering candlelight, and clicked the remote, the projector casting a giant image of my bank account balance on the dining room wall. "Mom, Dad," I announced, my voice a calm counterpoint to the symphony of gasps and choked whispers that erupted around the table. "I have a little confession to make. Remember that trust fund you guys have been hiding? The one with the secret bank accounts, the loose floorboards, and the combination that's apparently more secure than Fort Knox?" My parents, bless their wide-eyed, slack-jawed faces, looked like they'd just witnessed a unicorn tap dancing on a rainbow while reciting Shakespeare. "Alexia, honey," my mother stammered, her voice a shaky vibrato that would make a soprano sound like a baritone. What is this?" "This," I said, gesturing towards the screen with a flourish that would make a magician proud, "is my bank account balance, the one I built myself with my own two hands, my brilliant brain, and a little help from the knowledge that, well, the future is not as uncertain as you seem to think it is." My dad, bless his sputtering indignation, choked on his mouthful of organic kale salad. "But how?" he gasped, his eyes bulging like a startled pufferfish. "You're just a student. You have a part-time job at a bookstore, "I'm also a goddamn entrepreneur, Dad," I interrupted, my voice laced with a smug satisfaction that was as sweet as the vintage champagne I was about to pop open to celebrate this momentous occasion. I've been investing, strategizing, and generally kicking ass in the financial world while you guys were busy hiding your pennies under the mattress and whispering about the apocalypse. The realization dawned on them, slow and painful, like a hangover after a tequila-fueled bender. Their daughter, the one they thought they were testing, the one they thought they were protecting, had not only surpassed their wildest expectations, but she had also exposed the futility of their fear, the limitations of their scarcity mindset, the absurdity of their entire hide-the-money charade. "But why?" my mother whispered, her voice laced with a confusion that was as heartbreaking as it was infuriating. "Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you ask for help?" "Help?" I scoffed, the word echoing through the room like a gunshot. "I didn't need your help, Mom. I needed your trust. I needed you to believe in me, to support me, to see me as more than just a potential liability, a spoiled brat who'd squander your precious fortune. But we did believe in you, sweetheart, my father protested, his voice cracking with a guilt that was as thick as the dust bunnies in the attic. We were afraid. Afraid of what? I challenged, my voice rising with the frustration that had been simmering for years. Afraid of losing your money? Afraid of losing control? Afraid of losing the illusion of security that you've built around yourselves like a goddamn fortress? The truth, ugly and undeniable, hung in the air like a toxic cloud. They had been so consumed by their own fears, their own past traumas, that they had failed to see the potential, the resilience, the unwavering determination that burned within their own daughter. And as the conversation unfolded, the walls of secrecy crumbling, the years of unspoken anxieties finally finding a voice, a transformation began to take shape. My parents, those masters of emotional repression, started to open up, to share their fears, their vulnerabilities, the stories of their own past traumas that had shaped their worldview, their parenting, their very relationship with money. We were so scared, Alexia, my mom confessed, her voice cracking with emotion. We lost so much, so quickly. We didn't want you to experience that pain, that fear, that sense of helplessness. I understand, Mom, I said, reaching out to take her hand, the gesture a bridge across the chasm that had separated us for so long. But you have to understand that by trying to protect me from the world, you are also preventing me from experiencing its beauty, its abundance, its limitless potential. And as the conversation flowed, the tears mingled with laughter, the apologies with promises, a new understanding began to emerge. My parents, those guardians of a hidden fortune, finally saw their daughter not as a potential liability, but as a source of strength, a beacon of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the transformative power of love, and the boundless possibilities that could be achieved when fear was replaced by faith, scarcity by abundance, and control by trust. The journey wasn't over, the healing process still ongoing, but the seeds of change had been sown, the foundation for a new beginning laid, the future a canvas painted with the vibrant colors of hope, trust, and a shared vision of a family that was not defined by the limitations of the past, but by the limitless potential of the future.